struggled with an SVG in Cricut Design Space? Then I'm here to show you all the things you need to know about working with SVGs. I'm Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Today I'm going to show you how to work with two different style SVGs, a single color and a multicolor. We're going to go over all the things that you need to know to make sure that these are going to cut correctly, and I'm going to show you some tricks for some layering with this one. It's actually really easy to layer. I know that scares a lot of people when they see SVGs. Now you may be asking yourself, what is an SVG? An SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphic. What does that mean? It typically means it's going to be a very high quality image and it's going to have multiple layers. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you get an SVG and maybe it's not set up the exact way that you think it should be, like with this one. I can't wait to show you how to work with them, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll link both the designs down below in case you want to work with these as well so that you can work along. Without further ado, let's get started.
To work with SVGs in Cricut Design Space, it can be really intimidating for the newbies, but I'm going to break it down for you and make it so easy. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, you're going to need some SVGs, so I'm going to use two that I have from Creative Fabrica. I'll link them down below in case you want to test them out too and kind of work together with me. Now, when you're looking at an SVG, you can look both at, a lot of times, the image that they put as like their preview image, and it'll tell you what file types are included. But a lot of times you can also look down into the description area, and you want to look to see that an SVG is included. If you're working with any other file type, it's going to be quite different. So this one is just for SVGs. Now what you want to do is you're going to download your image and it's going to open up and ask you where you want to save it. So I'm going to save it into my Cricut files, and I do have a folder for my summer designs. And then all I have to do is click save. One thing that's really important is that you need to open up the folder that you just downloaded, and you need to extract or unzip the folder. The reason that they're like that, they're compressed files so that when you're downloading it, it goes quicker. It makes them a smaller file type, but when you extract them, it gets you the correct file type. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click extract all, and then just simply click extract. It's going to open up the folder where that file is saved, and we're going to look at the files here. Now you're going to notice sometimes when you download, you have quite a few different file types. So for this one, I have a DXF file and an EPS file. I also have this PDF file and a PNG. The one that we're most interested in is the SVG, which for you, just like me, may show as a Microsoft Edge HTML document or whatever browser. It might be Firefox, it might be Chrome, but whatever it may be, it might show as an HTML document. That is your SVG. I don't want you to go back to the designer and be like, there's no SVG here. There is, it just might show as this because you don't have a vector program such as like Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape selected to open those files. I'm going to show you a second type of SVG as well because I want to show you one that has more colors. Now, like I said, a lot of times you can see on their design page here, right on that picture, whether it's an SVG, or you can scroll down and check into the About section. Again, we're going to download this, and I'm going to save this one into, I'm not sure if I have a back to school folder. I don't think I do. So I'm just going to save it into my regular folder. And then I'm going to go ahead, open that, and we'll do the extract all as we did before. Now, again, you're going to see you have the JPG, the DXF, the EPS, the PNG, and that Edge document. That is your SVG. We're going to head over to Cricut Design Space now, and I'm going to show you how to upload. In Cricut Design Space, uploading is super duper easy. Once you're into your canvas, you can click the upload option, which is on the left-hand side, two up from the bottom. It's the arrow with the little line above it. Click on that, and you're going to choose upload image, which is this top selection. From here, you can drag and drop the file, or you can browse for it by going through your folders. I like to just drag and drop. I want to start with the Lake Life one, which is just our single color SVG. So I'm going to drag it and drop it. Now, it may look a little bit blurry on your screen when you're uploading it, and that's completely normal. That's like a Cricut thing. I don't know what is going on with that. It's been like that for probably a year now. So with an SVG, this is really basically ready to go. There will be no background on it. There will be no needing to edit it before it's up into your canvas. So from here, you're going to just simply click continue. Now, this is where you can add things like your image design name. You can add any tags you might want to, like summer, lake, whatever you may want to add. That just helps you find your design later when you're looking through your uploads folder. You can search for those keywords. I am a rebel and tend not to add any of those. And then you can also add it into any of the collections. I'm going to click upload. And what this is going to do is it's going to put it right into my canvas. Now, from here, it is obviously huge. And some of them are going to come to you in this very, very large size. That's totally normal. Just go up to size and change the size to whatever you want it to be. So if I'm going to put this on a shirt, I usually go about 9.5 wide. This one's pretty high, so let me just kind of reduce that size. We'll make it like 7. That's pretty good. So once I have my design, I want to show you something that this is why I think people really struggle with SVGs. Currently, it looks great. It looks like you're ready to go and you're ready to put this on to a shirt, a tote, whatever it may be, cut it as a decal. But if you hit make from this point, what's going to happen is you're going to see that this is going to be an absolute disaster. I see this all the time, and this is one of the biggest frustrations for users when it comes to working with SVGs. You can see nothing is in order, and if you were to cut this out, you'd have to piece it all together, and we know nobody wants to do that. So in order to correct this, it's actually really, really easy. I also want to show you how you know it's going to do this before you even hit make. If you look at your layers panel, this little indicator right here, the 2 squares with the little box around it, means that your design is grouped. What group is to Cricut Design Space is that it's going to hold your design together here on the screen. So if I click on this image anywhere, I can move the whole thing. If I resize it, it will resize everything. This is just a way for Cricut in Cricut Design Space to hold your items together just on this screen. It doesn't mean anything when you hit the make button. So how do you correct this? It's actually super duper easy. All you need to do is hit the attach button down here at the bottom. Now, attach is only for like colors, and we're going to talk about this button again in just a minute with that other SVG that I have downloaded. So if your whole design is just one color, simply just click attach. Then when you hit the make button, you're going to see that everything is in the order that it needs to be, so that when you cut this out, it is going to cut out exactly like it should. That attach is the best thing. And like I said, that is only for like colors. So keep that in mind if you are doing this with an SVG. Now let's bring in that colored one so that you can see how to work with something with multiple colors. Again, you're just going to go to upload image, drag or drop or browse. This is going to be the welcome back to school one. Again, we're going to drop that SVG. You can see all of your design here and then just click continue. Again, you can change those image details if you'd like to, and then simply click upload. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger so that we can see it. Now, remember, what do we need to look at before we hit make is if it is grouped, which this is. But let's go ahead and hit make anyways, just so you can see what's going to happen when we do that. You'll notice that all of our letters are out of order for everything. And we've got all sorts of just craziness going on here on our design. We definitely don't want that. So let's go ahead and click cancel. Now with this design, there are parts that I noticed that we really are not going to need. And I'm going to show you how to fix this so that this SVG is exactly what you need it to be. Now with this design, again, it is grouped. So to see all the groups, just click this little arrow right here and it's going to open up all of the groups. Now you're going to see here, it's really only showing us this one single group of stars. What you'll see is that you've got all these little groups inside. So the best thing that I always say to do is click every single arrow until every single arrow is pointing downward. So every arrow should be down. So as you're scrolling through, there may be multiple groups inside other groups. This is really important to know how to work with when you're working with Cricut and SVGs, because sometimes you're going to get designs like this that are just a mess and need to be corrected so that you're not wasting materials, so that you're not wasting your time. This is really easy to do, I promise. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that every single group is ungrouped. I know that sounds scary, but I promise it's actually really easy to do. What I like to do is I'm going to start at our lowermost group, which is this one right here. To ungroup them, you can either right click on them and choose ungroup right here, or you can click on the group up here and you can use these two squares at the top of your layers panel, and that will also ungroup them. So my goal is to get rid of every single piece that has these little two boxes here. So I'm just going to go through and find every little like topper here that has those boxes and just click on those two boxes. Now you may need to do this quite a few times to go through because they have so many little groups in this design. I'm just going to sit here, and again, I want to make sure every single box is gone. So when I scroll through now, each item should be its own separate layer. Do you see how we have all these items? There's no extra information. That's what you want this to look like once you've come to your design portion. So once we're ready to start working with our SVG, you want to just have it all like that. Now, what I like to do is I'm going to go through and take all of my like colors and I'm going to attach them. So I can tell you right now, all the stars and the word welcome, and then this piece here and this piece here at the bottom of this like cutout circle, those should all be the same color, but you can make them different colors. But for this purpose, we're going to make them all the same color. So what I do is I hold Control on my keyboard and I click every single piece that is that color here on my layers panel. Now I do need to go and find the little circle, which should be this one right here. This is our smaller orange piece. Once I have all of my pieces selected, I'm going to attach them because remember, you only attach like colors. So when I click attach, you'll see now that we have a little section here that says attach, and I can just open it up and that shows you everything there. Once I have that like color attached, to make my life easier, I'm going to go ahead and hide it. Now the reason I hide it is so that I can see the layers below everything and make sure we don't have additional layers that we don't need, and that we're going to be able to cut this out and make this look perfect. Now the word school, that's all the same color. So we're just going to grab all of those letters of school here. Again, I just hold Control, although Shift works as well on your keyboard, and I just attach. From here, I can go ahead and hide this. Now I'm going to get this little circle here. Now this is all one piece. It doesn't need to be any kind of attach. You can just hide it so that what we're working with is this back to school. Now this has 3 layers, which is insane and really not necessary for the design. I'm going to show you how to kind of correct this and maybe make it look a little bit better than what they have here. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these black letters and I'm just going to honestly delete them. We're going to make it so it has an outline, but so that we don't have this big, heavy 3-layer HTV. There's no need for it. Again, I'm going to take all these white pieces as well. They're not needed and we'll delete them. Now I can take the back 2 and I can do that same thing where I grab all those same colors and simply attach. Attach holds everything together on the make screen, remember? Now, if we want to add an outline to this so that it kind of has that varsity look, it's very, very easy to do. What you're going to do is go to Effects and you're going to choose Offset. Now, this first offset that you're going to choose, you want to make it pretty small. It doesn't have to be teeny tiny, but you do want to make it fairly small. I don't like to go too big when I do like an offset like this, where we're going to have a little outline because you don't want a big outline. Now, if you want the corners to be more squared, because this is a more squared font, just choose the squared corners. Then you're going to click Apply. Now, once we have this offset here, you want to make sure that that is selected in your layers panel, and then you're going to go back to Effects and go to Offset. You want to use the same size offset, so you don't have to do anything. You just simply click Apply. You'll see that you have 2 offsets. They are different colors. I'll just change the color on that so you can see all 3 of our pieces here. if I want the outline here on our letters, what I want to do is I'm going to take offset here and the gray offset. I want to select both of those items and I want to use slice. Now, keeping in mind that slice can only slice 2 layers. So if you are trying to slice 1 layer or you have 3 layers or more, it won't light up. But because I only have 2 layers selected, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to click slice here, and I only want to keep the outline of the words. So I'm going to get rid of this piece here and this piece here. And now you can see that we have the outline. Now I am going to make this the same color as the word back to school. I don't think that's the right one, that is. And all I'm going to do is select both of those items again and attach them. Now we can bring everything back in to our design here. And look, we've got all our SVGs ready to go. Now, when I click make, it's going to have the Lake Life one all on one. And then you're going to see that each of our layers for our back to school design are all going to be already lined up, ready to go, making it super easy for you to create these designs onto a shirt, a tote, whatever it may be. Now I am going to cut these out because I do want to show you how to layer these. It's super easy. I am, however, going to cut them a bit smaller. I'm just going to do vinyl. I don't need anything that is giant on a shirt or anything like that. So I'm just going to use some permanent vinyl. So I'm going to make these a bit smaller. Now, before you ever really go to cut anything, I do highly recommend saving your project. To save your project, go up here to this little pencil and you can change your name. And I'm going to call this SVG tutorial just so I know what I'm doing with it. And then you click this little check mark. Once it's done that, it'll automatically save. Cricut does an automatic save now, which is so nice. Now what I can do is hit make and get ready to cut these out. Now, like I said, I'm going to cut them on vinyl for you guys so that you can see how easy this is to do once you've got all your layers for your SVGs ready to go. So let's head over to the Cricut and get these cut out. I'm going to cut all of my vinyl on the vinyl setting here in Cricut, but always do a test cut, especially if you're going to be working with new materials. Now you can see I loaded them on each corner, just made it easier to flip the mat and unload. I'm going to weed these. Now, just so you know, when you weed vinyl, it should weed beautifully like these are. If it's not, adjust that cut setting, clean your blade, check it and make sure there's no debris on it. Now, this is the greatest trick to layering. You're going to use a piece of parchment paper, but I also want to point out that my vinyl did cut a little deep, which meant that it left a little bit of the backing on my vinyl. So I'm just going to pick that off with my pin pen. It's totally normal. It happens. But what you do is you take a piece of your parchment paper and lay it over your design. Now with this one, you're going to line this up and you leave a little bit of your decal sticking out so that you can stick your transfer tape to it once you get your design in place. This is a surefire way to make sure everything's lined up before you commit to actually pressing down your vinyl. Now again, had another part that cut a little deep. That's okay, just peel it off. Again, I'm going to use that parchment paper hack, and sometimes it doesn't always work, and that's okay if you need to adjust and not use it. You'll see that I don't use it for the last layer here, and the reason that I don't is once you see the yellow, it's a little bit too light, and I can't see it very well under the parchment paper, so I just wasn't having any luck. So I decided that I would just be a rebel and do it without. And you can, but the parchment paper really helps you get those first couple layers nice and even so that the last layer will come out nice and even. Now, I hope that you picked up some tips and tricks to working with SVGs, and especially if they come out a jumbled mess. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.